K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we're expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at advertise@k98talk.org. The leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can, we're Americans.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show on K98 Talk. Now, here's Grouchy.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you're taking time away from the quote-unquote scintillating debate going on between GOP candidates. In other words, more of the same crap from the same people, throwing stones at each other, being made to look like fools by a liberal moderator. When the hell is Reince Priebus and the rest of the GOP going to learn to start dictating terms about the debates instead of just having them handed to them? But anyway, enough of that. Pardon me, a little bit of a headache going on tonight. But I just wanted to take a minute and remind you that you are listening to K98 Talk the home of conservative talk radio, the best in the business, the best and the brightest folks, the best shows. You just can't beat it. It's Wednesday night. It's time for the trifecta. That's right. You just bounced off of America Off the Rails. Now you're with me, and then you get Jason and Bunny right after me. You can't miss. So anyway, let's take a look at what's happening this week in D.C. We've got senior White House officials and congressional leaders apparently have struck a tentative deal to raise the debt limit and set the federal budget for the next 2 years. A deal that would extend the debt ceiling to March 2017 and bust budget limits set by the 2011 agreement that imposed a decade of reduced spending known as sequestration on the government. It would raise those caps by a total of $112 billion with a billion in fiscal year 2016 and 2017. The funds would be divided equally between defense and non-defense spending, charting a compromise between Republican defense hawks pushing for more Pentagon spending and Democrats who wanted more spending on domestic/social programs. The deal would also restructure benefits for Social Security disability insurance, a move that Republicans have pitched as the program's first major change in decades. The House could vote on the deal as early as today. Yeah, I don't think it happened today. I didn't hear anything if it did. And the legislation is expected to be unveiled late Monday night. If approved, it will provide a fresh start for Representative Paul Ryan, who is all but the Speaker of the House now, especially today after being officially nominated by the GOP. And he's supposed to be taking part of these budget negotiations. Outgoing Speaker John Boehner, this is his swan song. He calls it cleaning up the barn a little bit. I call it flinging crap against the wall for his successor. Assuming that Paul Ryan remembers what it's like to be a conservative. I'm not sure he ever really was, so I'm not sure he can remember. We're going to find out, though, because Paul Ryan claims to not like this deal. Now, as a wise person on Twitter put earlier, methinks he does protest a little too much. He knows that the Republican support will be there for this budget, so he will get to vote against it to say that, I tried, I did the right thing, and the GOP voted it through. I think it's all a setup to make Ryan look better, and I'm not buying the crap. So, Ryan, you want to prove something? Prove it. Prove it. Don't talk about it, do it. But this deal would also ensure that Congress would not have to deal with the threat of a government shutdown or default before the 2016 elections, a goal of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Yes, we know why Mitch wants to get it off the table, because Mitch wants to get reelected. But yet getting this deal through the House and Senate could be a bit of a challenge. Raising the debt ceiling by itself is political poison for many Republicans, especially in the House Freedom Caucus, who have argued for deep spending cuts to be linked to any hike in the nation's borrowing limit. Instead, the emerging deal would break the sequester and increase spending. In a special closed-door House GOP meeting scheduled Monday night to discuss the deal, several Freedom Caucus members stood up and complained to Boehner. Justin Amash told Boehner that leadership negotiations were a perfect example of how things are broken in Washington. Boehner replied that he didn't like the process either, saying that he wants regular order. But the speaker said Obama is looking for ways to shut down the government. We can fall into the trap or we can lead, Boehner said. Yeah, now, let's stop there for a second. What the hell does Boehner know about leadership? This deal is another sweetheart deal that Boehner and Obama have set up together to straddle the country with more debt. End of story. Boehner and Obama have put us $4 trillion in debt together with all the deals that they've negotiated. Do your own research. Don't take my word for it. I only regurgitate the facts. The fact is that Boehner and Obama have put us $4 trillion deeper into debt than we should be. Now, Democrats likely will be expected to bring many votes to the package, but that could also be in doubt because of the budgetary offsets used to pay for the increased spending that includes cuts to both Medicare and Social Security disability benefits. The deal would specifically extend the 2% payment cut to Medicare under the sequester and create a flat benefit for disability recipients, which would be tied to the federal poverty line rather than to an individual's own savings. Budget experts at the Heritage Foundation have championed the flat benefit. This would be the first significant reform to Social Security since 1983 and would result in a $168 billion long-term savings, according to a source familiar with the talks. Several House Democrats, led by caucus chairman Xavier Becerra in California, have also said they would oppose any deal that decreased benefits. So we've got the Democrats talking about not supporting any deal that decreases Social Security benefits. We've got a group of Republicans that refuse to support a deal that increases spending and debt. I'd say it's going to be up to the quote-unquote moderates to pass this deal. So Harry Reid, of course, tooting his own horn, his quote was, "As I've been saying for years, it is past time that we do away with the harmful, draconian sequester cuts." And he did not mention any offsets in the package. He also said that we must also ensure that there are equal defense and non-defense increases. The White House also took a cautious approach on the deal that lawmakers in both parties are still learning about Monday night. Not everything has been agreed to. That means nothing has been agreed to, said Josh Earnest. We know who that idiot is. We continue to urge Republicans to engage constructively with Democrats to find common ground and do the right thing for the country. Yes, because increasing our debt and our spending and our borrowing limit is the right thing for the country. Freaking morons. White House Budget Director Sean Donovan and Legislative Affairs Director Katie Fallon crafted the package with staff representing McConnell, Boehner, Reid, and House Democrat leader Nancy Pelosi. Talks first began September 17th, according to a House source. Interesting. It's been a little while now. Republican leaders presented the deal to their conferences in the House and Senate on Monday night. The deal would increase spending caps for defense and non-defense programs by $25 billion each in 2016. It would then boost defense and non-defense discretionary accounts by $15 billion each in fiscal year 2017. Another $32 billion spread over 2 years would be provided for the Oversight Contingency Operations Fund used to fight the war against Islamic State in Iraq and Syria and for operations in Afghanistan. And that boost nearly meets the president's requested figure for 2016. Amazing how he's going to get that money that he wanted after everybody said, no, no, no. One source familiar with the deal said that the OCO funds were not offset and that the other $80 billion was paid for with separate budgetary moves, without specifying which moves those are. Reaching an accord on the top-line budget numbers will allow leaders of the Appropriations Committee in both chambers to put together an omnibus spending package before Christmas. That's the idea. Tying the spending deal, which includes reforms to mandatory spending programs, to the debt ceiling measure allows Republicans to argue that they won some concessions in return for extending the nation's borrowing authority. Democrats have long insisted they will not negotiate over the $18.1 trillion debt limit, which, by the way, we're well over already. If you don't know that, go check out the Treasury clock. It's been frozen for about 5 months now consecutively, just so it wouldn't exceed the legal limit. So the Treasury Department has said it must raise by November 3rd to avoid defaulting on the country's bills. We know that's a bunch of crap. We're not going to default. Lawmakers also face a December 11th deadline to fund the government. And now that's something that should be defunded for sure. The budget talks have additionally been linked to a long-term highway funding bill and a measure to renew the Export-Import Bank. Boy, that sucks. But congressional leadership sources said those measures are not part of the final deal. A leadership aide said the package would not prevent federal funding for Planned Parenthood. Surprise, surprise. The source said the final deal did include language to prevent double-digit premium hikes that would hit 8 million Medicare enrollees in 2016. Averting the 52% premium increases has been a priority for Pelosi and could help win Democratic support for the package. Well, maybe if they had crafted a health care bill that would work to start with, they wouldn't be stuck in this mud puddle they're in now. So staving off the increases is expected to cost about $7.5 billion, and Democratic aides have said that Pelosi's office was quietly negotiating with Boehner on the offsets. That measure is fully paid for in the deal, a source said. Great. But President Obama and Pelosi would also have to make a major concession on the administration's health care law. The deal would repeal a major piece of Obamacare known as auto-enrollment mandate, which would require large employers to automatically enroll workers into health care plans. Any employees under the plan would be rolled over into plans as well. House Rules Committee Chairman Pete Sessions of Texas said Boehner and Obama had been laying the groundwork for a possible deal for months. I think there's work that has gone on for several months on this, so it just culminated before it had to happen, he said. Sessions praised the deal as fiscally prudent. Okay, Pete Sessions, you are also on my list now of morons. I do know the levels that we're talking about, and in the long run, the aggregate is keeping us on a glide path to being careful with how much money we spend, he said. The speaker had a long-term goal, and that was to end the process that we had in favor of a longer-term debt agreement. All right, so let me get this right. The GOP is going to give in and let Obama keep spending money that we don't have. They're kicking the can down the road with increased spending, which will increase debt in return for something that's likely to be challenged in court and overturned anyway on Obamacare. Folks, what happened to this group that we sent last November? You know, it's been almost a year now since we sent one of the most quote-unquote conservative Congresses ever to D.C. What the hell have they done for us? What the hell have they done for us? Nothing. they've done nothing. They buckle like a cheap belt. They fold like a cheap chair. Every time Obama whines and plays the victim card or plays the race card, the GOP is so worried about taking a black eye in the mainstream liberal media that they capitulate, kowtow, and just check their spine at the door. I think this is a crappy budget deal. And I think that if Paul Ryan is serious about not being in favor of it, then he needs to put the feelers out to the people that are supporting him to be the next speaker and see if they can't actually stop it. Let's find out. Is he serious or is he just blowing smoke? I think it's smoke, as you heard earlier. Okay. So now, let's move on to the campaign trail, shall we? If you had a doubt, you have to know by now that former Florida Governor Jeb Bush sees the campaign of Florida Senator Marco Rubio as the major obstacle between himself and the White House. Well, now, this is for a couple of reasons. One, because Jeb Bush is just a flat-out moron, and he thinks that people really want him there in the White House, which we don't. My hashtag, #GoHomeJeb, it came after my hashtag of Don't Run Jeb. It's okay. Let Jeb go. Let him run now. He's gonna, he's so cocky because he thinks that he has enough money to overcome having 6% nationwide support. He's delusional. Rubio, who started to climb in the polls, is also now starting to see a decline, along with Carly Fiorina seeing a slight decline now. I don't know why exactly. We'll just keep tuned. I don't have a candidate yet, folks. I refuse to have a candidate yet. We're still 370 days away from an election. We got lots of time to figure out who the candidate's going to be. Ben Carson said that he won't get in the mud pit with fellow GOP candidates. This worries me a little bit, because if he's not willing to at least raise his hands and throw a jab here among the Republicans in the primaries, what on God's green earth is going to happen if he's the nominee and has to square off against Hillary? I don't think he's going to have the stones to throw down with her. And we'll be looking at 8 more years of Democrats. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Trump's numbers are starting to dwindle a little bit. Granted, most polls still have him in the lead nationwide, but you're starting to see some chinks in the armor, and we just have to ride this out. If you're one of those people out there that are, if you don't support Trump, you might as well defriend me or quit following me, piss off. Just piss off. I have people that I would like to see eliminated from the GOP race so that we could clear the picture up a little bit. We have people out there like Pataki. He could go home. That would be fine. When you're polling at 1% or less, I think that's where you need to be. Lindsey Graham, go home. Lindsey Graham actually had, this is hilarious. Lindsey Graham had the nerve to whine over the weekend that he doesn't understand how these other candidates are polling so much better than him. He just doesn't know what they bring. How about a breath of fresh air, Lindsey? about somebody that hasn't had their head wedged up the GOP establishment's backside for years and years and years? You know, Lindsey Graham wouldn't know common sense or the truth if it bit him in the ass. So anyway, we got the Bush family getting ready this weekend. They delivered a presentation to assuage concerns about the campaign's tumultuous 3 months at a summit for the top donors in Houston this past weekend, delivering an optimistic look at the path ahead and a sharp blow to a top rival. With a PowerPoint slide deck as a guide, campaign manager Danny Diaz, I'm not sure that's his real name. I think he just uses Diaz so that Bush can, say he's Hispanic too. But anyway, Senior Advisor Sally Bradshaw, Communications Director Tim Miller, and other aides went through the campaign's finances and strategic plan for the roughly 150 donors present. The presentation identified Rubio as Bush's top competition, repeatedly contrasting their effort to Rubio's nodding cash flow. And field organization and endorsements. But its most pointed critique was of Rubio's qualifications for office, coming just weeks after Bush himself said Rubio didn't have a track record of accomplishment. We need to offer a contrast to the current president. Hillary will pitch competence and experience. And Marco, according to Bush, is a GOP Obama, the presentation said in a preview of a possible general election matchup next year. Rubio and President Obama have strikingly similar profiles, it continues. First-term senators, lawyers, university lecturers, served in part-time state legislatures for 8 years, had few legislative accomplishments, and haven't shown much interest in the process of advancing legislation and getting results. The aides argued that in a matchup against Clinton, Bush would win according to a September Quinnipiac University poll, and win a higher percentage of the Hispanic vote than Rubio. Another slide titled, "Those Closest to Marco Choose Jeb," notes that Bush has cleaned up among Florida lawmaker endorsements, while Rubio has struggled to win over support. Bush and his super PAC have spent vastly more than his GOP rivals on television, but yet he has not been able to move the needle. The Bush aides argued that the electorate remains volatile. No, we're not volatile. But anyway, hold that thought. They argue that the electorate remains volatile and that the campaign's focus on fundamentals like data analysis and organizing will pay off in the end, just like it did for Romney, right? They think we're volatile. We're not volatile. We're sick of Bushes. That's all it is. That's not volatile. Jeb Bush brings nothing to the table. Zero. Nada. What does it take for these people to actually get a grasp of reality? So the pro-Bush effort also has the most television inventory reserved for the coming months on the GOP side. Well, that's because he has the most money. The meeting comes at a pivotal time for Bush, days after he announced a massive reshuffling of his campaign organization, as well as a 40% cut to campaign payroll. Later Monday, the donors heard Bush and his brother, former President George W., participate in the joint discussion. Not one but two Bush presidents flanked Jeb at a Houston hotel on Sunday night, as the former Florida governor tried to reassure the campaign donors that his presidential campaign will succeed. A message not everyone is buying, though. Bush's father, George Herbert Walker Bush, and brother, W., attended the 2-day event that included a barbecue dinner and visits with former First Lady Barbara Bush. But in the hallways outside the private event rooms at the Hilton Americas hotels, some of the major supporters of Jeb Bush's campaign said there's a real sense of gloom about the effort. It says, we all read the same newspapers and look at the same polls, and it's tough right now. There are a lot of people we thought would have written checks who aren't on board yet, one donor said. Bush has been in a free fall in the polls for months, ever since billionaire businessman Donald Trump barged into the Republican field in mid-June and took over the front-runner spot in late July. Bush is now 4th, 5th, or 6th place in most national polls, prompting him to cut campaign staff and salaries and focus his time on resources on a single state, New Hampshire, instead of a national strategy. Now, what they're not telling you, Bush is also starting to fly coach. He's ditching the private jets in the first-class seats. There's even talk of train travel. So he's willing to sully himself, and lower his standards to get the job. This guy just kills me. He's willing to do anything to be president so he can do exactly what he wants and not what we want. This is proof, folks, that it really is all about the donor class and not the middle class. So anyway, the most recent average of major national polls, as compiled by Real Clear Politics, has Bush in 5th place with an average score of 7.2%, behind Cruz at 7.8%, behind Rubio at 9.2%, Carson at 21.4%, and Trump at 27.2%. Now, some supporters privately observed that the Bush family now appears to be out of the mainstream of today's Republican Party, noting the rise of outsider candidates such as Trump. Such a strong anti-establishment mood among primary voters spells doom for Bush, given the dynastic nature of his family name. Yes, this is what I was saying. We're tired of a dynasty. We don't need another Bush. We don't need another Clinton. We don't need the quote-unquote American royalty. And they're also saying that this is also evidence of a still strong influence of the Tea Party. The donor said, "I look at this party now and I hardly recognize it. I would never have thought there would be such a mistrust of the establishment that we would prefer candidates who are angry over those who can actually lead." You see, this is also part of the game plan here. Just because somebody is angry doesn't mean they can't lead. Why does one have to preclude the other? I'm angry. I can lead. I'm not running for president, though. I could, but I'm not. Other longtime Bush supporters are more confident that the party will eventually, quote-unquote, come to its senses and back his candidacy once Trump and Carson fade in the polls. But even those supporters are a little wary at this point. Will Weatherford, one of those, a former Speaker of the Florida House of Representatives, pointed to Bush's campaign war chest, noting that his political action committee raised more than $100 million earlier this year before he even entered the race. "If he's an underdog, we'll take that," said Weatherford. Now, folks, we're a little past the bottom of the hour. It's time to take a break. And when we come back, we will continue discussing things that are important to me and you and all of us. So sit still, stay tuned. Be back in about 2 minutes.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me. Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
Not on my watch, our military service members say, as they volunteer to serve, as they move out, stand firm, and take fire. So not on our watch, we say, to the severely ill or injured veterans who can't get the care they deserve to live full and independent lives, even when there's no government funding or a nursing home seems like the only option. We won't leave one warrior behind. Not on our watch. Join us at findwwp.org.
According to me and Bunny, their show's not big. It's huge!
Mr. Trump, what are your thoughts on how should we go about making sure we can protect innocent life in this country?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
Donald, question right over here. What are you going to do as president in regards to Common Core? What actions are you going to take?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
That is like he can say that for anything.
Yes! It's just insert issue.
A lot of things.
Donald, what are we going to do for lunch?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
It's According to Me and Bunny, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on K98 Talk.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me. Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
All right, welcome back. Hey, just a quick reminder, tomorrow night on K98 Talk, we're going to kick your night off with America Off the Rails. The rowdy one, Rick Robinson, will be in the house. Then you're going to get Red Nation Rising. Lou will be on the air, kicking tail as usual.
Hang on,
And
Audible. Hello. It's
Audible.
actually called The Bell Tolls now.
Oh.
She's working with Red Nation still, but it's actually her own separate brand now.
Beg your pardon, Miss Lou. Lou, with For Whom the Bell Tolls, after America Off the Rails, followed by Game On with JD and Stacy. Tomorrow night on K98 Talk. That's your Thursday lineup. Thank you for the pointer there, Mr. Producer.
No problem. You can go back to ranting and raving now. I'm going to go back to working.
That's It's all good. It's all good. Okay, so we left off, we just scrapped the Bush campaign, basically put it back in the dumpster heap where it belongs. Guess what happened this week? House Republicans actually started proceedings to impeach the leader of the IRS, Robert Koskinen. Yes, Bob. Looks like he's going to go down. And why? Well, it turns out that the IRS is still apparently targeting nonprofit Tea Party groups, including one that's been waiting nearly 6 years for approval. Just in time, you know, the Justice Department announced last week that it had cleared the tax agency and former senior executive Lois Lerner of any wrongdoing. The Obama administration's decision, outlined in a Friday afternoon letter to Congress, said the IRS did mishandle nonprofit status applications from conservative groups, but said the bad behavior wasn't criminal. Right. And that's like saying that the people that mysteriously died around the Clintons, throughout their political careers were just tragic accidents. Still, the decision does not end the legal jeopardy for the tax agency, nor does it quell the political battle in which the IRS has lost billions of dollars in funding from a Congress that remains troubled by its employees' behavior. There are a lot of lawsuits, including one seeking to be certified as a class action, that are still pending against the IRS. It's no wonder why so many Americans have had it with Washington and the elite political class who think they can get away with something like this, said Mark Meckler, president of Citizens for Self-Governance, and one of the organizers of the class action lawsuit. Yet another case is pending before a federal appeals court after Tea Party challengers lost at the district level, where the judge ruled the IRS targeting stopped in 2013, so there was no longer a case to be decided. Now, just a question here. How does the judge know it stopped in 2013? What are they basing that on? Are they basing that on the lack of an investigation that the Department of Justice did? I don't know. So that was news to the Albuquerque Tea Party, which applied for nonprofit status in December of 2009 and is still awaiting approval. According to the group's attorneys at the American Center for Law and Justice, another of the center's clients, Unite in Action, an Ohio group, has been waiting more than 3 years for approval. It's an outrage, a mockery of justice, said Jay Sekulow, chief counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice. The center is pursuing a case on behalf of those and 36 other groups. If you don't know who Jay Sekulow is, I suggest you bone up on him. He's a pretty sharp fella. The Justice Department handed down its decision more than 2 years after the internal IRS watchdog reported that auditors singled out Tea Party groups' applications for special scrutiny and delayed those applications beyond reasonable timelines, preventing the groups from being able to say they were officially recognized nonprofits. Assistant Attorney Peter Kadzik explained the Justice Department's investigation, picking up from the Inspector General's report and detailing documents obtained from more than 80 employees and more than 100 interviews, including with Ms. Lerner, who cooperated with the investigation, according to DOJ. So while they were conducting all this crap, the IRS employees showed ignorance and a fear of making decisions. Kadzik said there was no evidence of a political intent to disadvantage the Tea Party groups, even though that is what resulted. Ineffective management is not a crime, said Kadzik. It is if it's intentional, you dumbass. The Department of Justice's quote-unquote exhaustive probe revealed no evidence that would support a criminal prosecution. What occurred is disquieting and may necessitate corrective action, but it does not warrant criminal prosecution. Well, of course not, because they did their job. They hammered out the pathway for Obama to get reelected. So now it's all about trying to get Hillary in. That's why this is still going on. In its letter Friday, the Justice Department specifically cleared Ms. Lerner, a senior executive in charge of approving the group's applications, who had authored a number of emails that suggested a bias against the Tea Party movement. Investigators said none of the witnesses they interviewed believed Ms. Lerner acted out of political motives, and that Ms. Lerner seemed to try to correct the inappropriate scrutiny once she recognized that it was wrong. She did no such thing. We know this. If that were the case, these groups would be approved already. It says, in fact, this is according to the letter, in fact, Ms. Lerner was the first IRS official to recognize the magnitude of the problem and take concerted steps to fix it. Excuse me. Congressional Democrats said the decision confirmed what they figured out years ago, that there was no underhanded political dealing at the agency. Just screw the Republicans. That's not underhanded. Over the past 5 years, Republicans in the House of Representatives have squandered literally tens of millions of dollars going down all kinds of investigative rabbit holes, IRS, Planned Parenthood, Benghazi, with absolutely no evidence of illegal activity, said the biggest mouth of the Democratic Party and Hillary's girdle of defense, Representative Elijah Cummings of Maryland. He is the top Democrat on the Benghazi investigation and ranking member of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. That basically means that they want to reform our government into a communist organization. That's what Elijah has in mind. The House Ways and Means Committee conducted its own investigation into the Tea Party targeting, as did the Senate Finance Committee. The House panel was the one that voted to refer Mrs. Lerner's behavior to justice for criminal investigation. Representative Paul Ryan and Ways and Means Committee Chairman, Republican and Ways and Means Committee Chairman, called the Friday letter deeply disappointing, but said it wasn't a surprise given the bent of the Obama administration. Hey, okay. At least Ryan stood up a little bit. Is he going to fight for it, though, or is he just going to settle for it? We'll see. He said his committee's probe did find serious and unprecedented actions by Ms. Lerner that deprived Tea Party groups of their rights. So depriving people of their rights is not criminal, according to the Department of Justice. The American people deserve better than this. Despite the DOJ closing its investigation, the Ways and Means Committee will continue to find answers and hold the IRS accountable for its actions, said Mr. Ryan, who will likely be the next House Speaker. Yeah, I'd say that's probably a done deal after the nomination today. Full vote coming tomorrow, I think. Anyone who takes a serious and impartial look at the facts would reach the same conclusion as the Justice Department, they said. Who said? Who said that? Why did I type that? There's no name there. Ms. Lerner's cooperation with justice investigation stands in contrast to her interaction with Congress, where she refused to answer questions invoking her Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. So why cooperate with one investigative office but not another? That leads me to believe there's something a little more here than what we're seeing. So the House Oversight Committee concluded that she was not, in fact, able to invoke the Fifth Amendment at that point, and when she refused to answer questions, the House voted to hold her in contempt of Congress. The Justice Department declined to pursue that case too, surprise, surprise, arguing that her claim of Fifth Amendment rights was likely to succeed. So, now while all this is going on, it was also discovered that the Internal Revenue Service is the latest in a growing list of United States federal agencies known to have possessed the sophisticated cell phone dragnet equipment known as Stingray, according to documents that were obtained by The Guardian. Invoices obtained a request under the Freedom of Information Act shows purchases made in 2009 and 2012 by the Federal Tax Agency with Harris Corporation, one of a number of companies that manufacture the devices. Privacy advocates said the revelation shows the wide proliferation of this very invasive surveillance technology. Now, why in the hell would the IRS need telephone surveillance equipment? Interesting. But, and there's nothing illegal going on because they have warrants for everything they surveil, right? Come on, please. This is ridiculous. Okay, so anyway, I want to do a little something. I have to fast forward through some notes here. I actually probably over-prepped for tonight's show. I got a few pages that I've got to skip through so we can get to this. We're going to do a new segment tonight, and where is it? Oh, here we go. I touched on it a little earlier. This is a new segment, and I'm toying with the name, so if you have something you like better, feel free to hit me on Twitter with it. I'm at TCC_Grouchy. I'm open for anything on this. Like I said, it's something new. I'm just trying it out. But tonight is the first jackass alert. And yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And it really fits. Once you hit it after I say this jackass's name too, Mr. Producer, tonight's jackass alert is Senator Lindsey Graham. I guess the rewind takes too long. That's okay. So Lindsey Graham, I mentioned earlier how he just crazy, cannot understand how he's losing this election, this primary election to people. He actually said this on the Morning Joe show on MSNBC. So Lindsey's whining to liberals about how he can't understand that he's losing to Republicans. He said, on our side, you got the number 2 guy tried to kill somebody at 14. And the number 1 guy's high energy and crazy as hell. How am I losing to these people, Graham asked, referring to retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson, who admitted Sunday that he did try to stab someone when he was a teenager, and then Donald Trump as being high energy and crazy as hell. He said, just take a look at Donald Trump's foreign policy. What is it? What's he going to do about ISIS? But see, Lindsey, you called them what Obama calls them, which means you are also referring to the non-existence of Israel, which means you, sir, can suck it. So Scarborough tells him, well, you're campaigning with them, you tell us. Lindsey Graham says, it changes. He says now he'd leave Syria completely alone and let the Russians deal with ISIS. So we're going to outsource defending the homeland to Putin, and he's winning, said Graham. As far as Democratic presidential candidates are concerned, Graham said Senator Bernie Sanders, who considers himself a socialist, went to the Soviet Union on his honeymoon, and I don't think he ever came back. Okay, cute line. I'll give him 3 on that. That's a 3. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton felt that she was flat broke after her husband was president for 8 years, and that's maybe why they stole the China, Graham added. Okay, now I do like the fact that he brought up the fact that the Clintons stole from the White House. They stole from your White House, my White House. They stole China. They stole furniture. They stole artwork. And we have covered this on the program before. There are still over $480,000 worth of artifacts missing from the White Houses that the Clintons stole. So I will give them some credit for that. You get a 5 on that one, Lindsey. That's an average of 4. You're still a moron. When asked to interpret GOP presidential candidate, former Florida Governor Jeb Bush's comments about Donald Trump while campaigning in South Carolina, Graham called Bush whiny. Well, he's not wrong, but he's not right either. Bush said, "I've got a lot of really cool things I could do other than sit around being miserable and listening to people demonize me and me feeling compelled to demonize them." "You elect Trump if you want that," said Bush. Graham said it came across as a bit whiny. Graham said Republicans on the establishment side need to start challenging the frontrunners more effectively. He predicted, however, that Trump would lose big against Hillary Clinton in a general election. "Donald Trump will get killed in a general election," he said. "He will absolutely get Hillary Clinton mopping up the floor with him," said Lindsay. Are you with me, Lindsay, that Jeb's talking about how he's being vilified and demonized? Graham says he knows nothing about being vilified, directing his comments at Bush. "You want to come to my family reunion? I get vilified far more than this." Oh, there's the reverse victim card. Lindsay's a victim. Oh, I'm so over it. Graham, Pataki, Kasich. Just go the hell home. Just quit and go the hell home. Okay? Now, Mr. Producer, I'm going to have to hit you for the sound effect one more time because in addition to the jackass alert, I have an even bigger jackass alert now. I like it. You ran it longer because he's a bigger jackass. That's good. And this bigger jackass would be United States Representative Joaquin Castro of Texas. He wants the federal government to drop the word alien from laws and documents because, quote, when you use the word alien, you think of Martians and people from outer space. Castro introduced this is the name of his bill, the Correcting Hurtful and Alienating Names in Government Expression bill last week. Oh, that's cute. He's got a little acronym. It spells change. But he uses the word alien in the acronym. So he wants the government to quit using it, but he's going to use it. This is the hypocrisy of the left. This is what makes him an even bigger jackass than Oh, man, the donkey's making the rounds. The measure removes the term illegal alien and replaces it with undocumented foreign national, in federal law and government documents. So he said, when we think of immigrants, we don't think of aliens, Castro told MSNBC on Friday. When you use the word alien, you think of Martians and people from outer space. Really? Because as far as I know, there are no Martians or people in outer space. These are human beings that we're talking about. So my point is that we can disagree on immigration reform policy, but the very least that we could do is have respect for these folks as human beings. You know what? I could agree with that statement on face value, but calling them illegal aliens in the term that it's being used, in the context that it's being used, is not offensive or abusive. So you, Mr. Castro, need to change your Change Act. And the best place that you could put it would be right in front of your eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. I know what's right in front of your eyes. It's your colon because you've got your head up your ass. Now, folks, again, do your research. Don't take my word for any of this stuff as fact. It is a fact, but, do your homework. Learn who's representing you in Washington. We're going to tie up tonight's show right now. It's time. I know I'm probably running a little late, Mr. Producer, but it's time. I did get a programming update. Jason and Bunny are going to be an hour later than normal. They're going to do a post-debate show, so it won't be following me immediately. You're going to get the Liz Harrison show, and then you will get Jason and Bunny and Jason doing debate mop-up. Quite frankly, I just couldn't bear to watch it tonight, so God bless them, and I will tune into that for sure. So I will see you guys next week. Thank you for being here. God bless, and have a great rest of the week.
Country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.